All right. I want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon for this session on talent acquisition. I want to start off by saying a thanks to all of our speakers today and for taking the time to join us, especially University of Toronto Scarborough, who is sponsoring this event, and of course BioTalent Canada, which are terrific partners of ours and are helping to support this event as well. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Miriam Ershad from University of Toronto Scarborough. And Miriam is going to introduce our land acknowledgement as well as the program at U of T Scarborough. So Miriam, thank you for all of your support of LSO. Thank you for all of your work in this area of talent development and acquisition. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Field. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to the session. Before we begin, we wish to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. I will present some information about University of Toronto's Arts and Science Co-op programs. Our presentation is about unlocking your talent acquisition, utilizing university co-op and industry-supported initiatives to help build and enrich your team. Brian, next slide, please. My name is Mariam Irshad, and I serve on the External Relations team at Arts and Science Co-op, who is dedicated to serve and support our employers in leveraging the up-and-coming talent and also to secure and gain benefit from funding opportunities that I'm going to share more information about during my presentation. Next slide, please. University of Toronto Scarborough's Arts and Science Co-op program has been serving employers across Ontario, across Canada, and around the globe for more than 40 years. Our co-op students come well prepared and ready for success at their work terms with various employers due to getting excellent learning opportunity from world-renowned experts in their respective fields. Students are available to work throughout the year. They can easily begin the work term during summer, fall, and winter. And the work terms are generally 4, 8, or 12 months duration. With this regard, our students are available from 35 academic programs. And we make it extremely flexible for employer partners with no posting deadlines. You can post at your convenient time, and we, serving as your consultative partner, will offer you full and dedicated service, beginning from developing co-op job descriptions for you, scheduling interviews, and extending job offers on your behalf. You can consider us an extension of our HR team. Next slide, please. Not only employers reduce their recruitment costs because Arts and Science Co-op dedicated team serves as their recruitment resource, they are also able to reduce their training costs because students come well prepared and well trained
Hi, everyone. I think Miriam has frozen, so I am happy to take over until Miriam gets back on. My name is Panna. I am a colleague of Miriam at the University of Toronto Scarborough Arts and Science Co-op. So I'll just take over on this slide and we'll see if Miriam is able to jump back in. So I think you probably heard the first point in how students can help you reduce your recruitment and training costs. So hiring somebody on pretty early on, the student will get accustomed to your culture. They will go through all the training, and potentially you could hire that student on for full-time opportunities. So it is advantageous in the end in that you can reduce those costs. Also, students are really and again, going to the point where you can hire on a student training future employees, being that you group of candidates and you are leveraging some new skills from up and coming talent. From our own experience, we've got some great co-op students working within our department, and we can see with ourselves the creativity and knowledge that they bring to our team. Is out there right now to help you fund. One opportunity is a federal funding program that's available right now, which BioTalent has been a great partner with us to help our employers hire on co-op students. So the funding that is available through the Student Work Placement Program, otherwise known as SWIP or SWPP, can provide up to 70% of the student's wage to a maximum of $7,000. So if we take that in real numbers, let's say you had a 12-week co-op role, you're paying the student about $19 an hour and it was full-time hours, that student, the wages would be about $8,500, but with about 70% wage subsidy, the role could cost you at the end about $2,000. So it's definitely a great program to tap into if you're able to help you bring down the cost of hiring on a student. Next slide. So as Miriam had mentioned, we do have very flexible start dates. So our co-op students are available year-round, not just the summer. So we have 3 terms. So students can go out for the summer, beginning in May. They can go out for the fall, beginning in September, and in the winter, beginning in December. And when our students go out, they can go out for either 4, 8, or 12 months. So a lot of flexibility to help meet your needs. Next slide. And the Arts and Science Co-op program here at the Scarborough campus at U of T has 35 different programs to choose from. So everything from computer science, mathematics, and statistics to the life sciences, which includes biology, biotechnology, and neuroscience, the physical and environmental sciences, which includes biochemistry, biological chemistry, and all the environmental sciences, psychology and health studies, and of course, our humanities and social sciences, which includes city studies, English, French, public policy, and a variety of other programs. Next slide, please.
And I can take over. I believe I had some technological challenges. Sorry for that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much again, Panna. And our students, Arts and Science Co-op students, come
Okay, I'm just gonna, I think we're just having some technical difficulties there. I'll jump back in. It's Panna again. So our students do arrive ready for success. Again, U of T is synonymous with the academic achievement, but we also prepare our students. So we've got extensive coursework to help them get ready for their work terms. We provide training and resources to help them get onboarded with remote work areas as needed. Next slide. In terms of how our students can help, there's a variety of different roles that they can take on with your organization. So data analysis, technical writing, scientific research, design, laboratory support, admin work, IT troubleshooting. Some sample roles include being a research assistant, a quality technician, R&D student, and chemical analysis. So you can see the variety of different roles and tasks that our students can take on if they come on board with your organization. Next slide, please. And in regards to our flexibility, we really, I can't emphasize how much how flexible and simple our process is. So in order to post a role with us, you can, step one, just submit a job posting either through email, or we have a submission form on our website that you can put a job posting into. We will send you an application package to your email that will have all the students' resumes, unofficial transcripts, and cover letters. And then that gives you a chance to move on to step two, where you can choose your candidates. And then once you've gone through that package and chosen your candidates, you can then simply move on to step three and make your final choice. So really a simple, flexible process. Next slide, please. And this slide just showcases a lot of the great organizations that our wonderful students have worked at. So we've got Baycrest, CAMH, Ontario Shore Centre for Mental Health Sciences, Scholarly Elite Tutoring, TDSB, SickKids, University Health Network, and St. Mike's Hospital. And we wanted to share some great testimonials that we received from some of our great partners, employers that have worked with our students. So I just wanted to read some out to you. One is from Andrew Lamery, who is the manager at Extendicare. And this was their quote: "Davina fit in very well with the team, was always willing to support and provide her help in projects and tasks, took on roles with enthusiasm and asked questions when she was unaware. Having access to funding for co-op student hires was a major benefit for Extendicare. This available funding made it very easy to bring on co-op students, as a good portion of their wages were covered. This was a major selling point with our senior leadership team." Next slide. And another great employer testimonial from CAMH. This is from Wana Mar, where they said, "Our mental health research group has hired co-op students from U of T for the past 10 years. We have been extremely impressed by the consistently high caliber of students from U of T. The students we hired have been very talented and motivated, and each one of them has made significant contributions to many of our projects. BioTalent Canada has enabled us to continue to offer co-op positions during the current pandemic when research funding has become uncertain. In the past year, we were able to retain one of our co-op students for back-to-back placements due to the flexibility offered by the SWIP program." Next slide. And finally, and also Sanofi Pasteur, so Pamela Axelrod, who's the head of training and external services, made the following quote: "Jenny was a great addition to our team, working to support documentation and archiving and R&D at Sanofi Pasteur. She was very positive with a can-do attitude. She's eager to learn, proactive, and always came prepared with questions. Very professional, provided solutions, and was excellent at meeting deadlines. She was also very detail-oriented, which was a great skill needed for this role."
Thank you so much, Pana, and my apologies again to everyone for all these technical challenges that I had. Sorry for that. Now I will
Thank you, Miriam, for the wonderful presentation, and thank you, Panna. Very seamless, wonderful use of technology. If I freeze, I apologize. Brian, you're going to have to take over for me because I don't have a backup today as good as Panna. So I'm Joanne Jordan, and I'm the Business Development Manager here at BioTalent Canada. And I'll be doing a little bit of an overview about BioTalent Canada, speaking about our wage subsidies that have been touched upon already by U of T Scarborough. Thank you very much for those examples as well. I'll talk a little bit about the Student Work Placement Program. I will touch on the eligibility, and then I can go over any questions you might have before we launch into a wonderful panel discussion about accessing talent, some personal experiences, and stories about funding and accessing that talent. So first, a little bit about BioTalent Canada. Essentially, we support the people behind life-saving science. I refer to us as the liaison between talent and the jobs in the bioeconomy, because of course, without people, there would be no science. With BioTalent Canada, we do a lot more than just the wage subsidies, although they are a wonderful asset to have as a delivery agent for the federal government. But because we're looking to further the bioeconomy overall, we do a lot of other projects for professional development. We also work on the National Occupational Standards, a project we're working on right now to explore the competencies and the transferable skills, of course, because in our labor market intelligence research that we've done, we have also identified some skills gaps and some talent shortages in the bioeconomy. So we're always looking to fill those gaps, whether it be through the research and the projects we have following that research, the National Occupational Standards, overall just doing our job to help grow that economy. For example, I'll touch base later on in the presentation about the online courses that we've developed through that labor market research that helps support the talent getting to the jobs and having them have an extra leg up. Next slide, please, Brian. The next one after that. So who do we work with would be a great question to help develop our projects and programs. We work very closely with partners such as Life Sciences Ontario, through industry associations, provincial associations, employers, as well as post-secondary institutions such as our partner U of T Scarborough. So we work with all of these organizations across Canada to help, as I mentioned before, develop the projects and programs that can keep the bioeconomy moving forward. So further to that, the wage subsidies are a really great asset that we have and that we've been delivering for on behalf of the federal government for many years now. I'd always like to start with a bit of a story. The next slide will show a really nice example. I like these case stories, and Panna shared some really great ones as well. This is a story about Jenna, because as they mentioned at U of T Scarborough, the placements follow along with a co-op program. So they are 4 months and they can be extended to 8 or 12 months, depending on the student and the employer. But sometimes employers and students don't know the value of how much work can go into a 4-month program. But in this example of Jenna, she took the concept of the app that she was designing from the concept stage all the way to delivery in that 4-month period of time. So it's a great example of how even just a short period of work placement can give not only the student the on-the-job training that they need to further their careers after they're finished at the post-secondary institution, but it also gives the employer the opportunity to shape the future of the workforce and potentially shape the future of their own personal work team. So let's talk about the Student Work Placement Program. As Panna mentioned, we offer wage subsidies up to $7,000 to hire a student. And as I was mentioning, it helps connect the employers to the students and the post-secondary institutions, so that we always have a direct line between the talent and the jobs in the bioeconomy. This opportunity for the Student Work Placement Program gives on-the-job training or WIL opportunities to all of these students, and it increases their job readiness through the work experience that they will have, whether it be from the relationships or just on the job training, but also through other examples such as the online training courses that we have available. And a really great personal story as well is as an example, when I started with BioTalent Canada, I did a lot of touring back when we could do that before COVID. And I did visit one of our other partners, Charles River Laboratories in Montreal. And it was very interesting for me, being a woman of STEM, to explore this lab and see all of these, not just scientists and researchers, but there were a lot of data analysts working in this lab. And I thought, wow, what I could have done with my math degree. When I graduated, I was told, you know, you can go work for StatsCan or work for a bank. There were no opportunities to explore the horizons. And as I mentioned earlier, with the National Occupational Standards, I did not know that my skills were transferable into the bioeconomy. So going back to Panna's presentation and Miriam's presentation, when you look at all of the different programs that we have at our wonderful post-secondary institutions across Canada, there's a lot of talent whose skills may be transferable into your organization. So it's just an interesting story. So eligibility for employers. They will be offering the student part-time or full-time work. And yes, currently they can still be work from home opportunities. Each term for the SWIP program is a minimum 4 weeks up to a maximum of 16 weeks per application. But as we mentioned earlier, you can apply for a second term or a third term as well. The employer, as I said, has to offer the student a minimum of 10 hours a week. So this is an interesting aspect to the program. Is I was speaking with an employer just the other day at a conference, and they have an opportunity to hire on a student for 10 hours a week for the fall term while the student is still in school, and that will then be eligible for the student work placement program, and it won't be disrupting the school term, and the student can stay on as well. Just an idea. So with BioTalent Canada, we offer the student work placement program for bioeconomy or healthcare employers, or if the role that the student is filling is fulfilling a bioeconomy or healthcare role. So going back to the example that I just gave you of that employer using the part-time option, they were hiring a marketing student because they were the bioeconomy employer. Now, a word of note is these wages, because this is a wage subsidy, the wages that the employer will be paying to the student, they do have to be on payroll, but the other percentage, so the 30 to 50% that the employer will be providing for that student cannot come from another federal funding program. So it does have to come from the employer's wage program. And as I said, they do have to be added to the employer's payroll for CPP and EI and all that good stuff. The student eligibility is that the student does need to be enrolled at a post-secondary institution. They do need to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and eligible to work in the province that they're working in. One last thing that I didn't include a slide on, but there may be some questions about the process itself. The process would be, as Panna was mentioning, that once you have your student selected, you can send in an application package, which includes the employer's information form as well as the student's information form. The job description, the company description, the student will provide their resume and a proof of enrollment. They will also fill in a work integrated learning form that will be signed off by somebody at the post-secondary institution. And then once that package has been received by the team here at BioTalent Canada, we will get back to you within about 5 to 15 business days to confirm your approval into the program. And subsequent to that, it'll take approximately 6 to 8 weeks for the contract to come through and funding to then start flowing freely between payroll and BioTalent Canada. And after that, it just continues on a monthly basis until either you send in a second application for a second term, or the placement is finished and then we fill out some surveys and the contract is done for now. If you have any specific questions, you can please reach out to my team, ask me at biotalent.ca, or my funding team. So it's funding@biotalent.ca. And of course, if you have any questions now, you're more than welcome to ask them either in the chat or during the panel discussion. But I think that summarizes what we have to present for BioTalent Canada. And we'll move on to the panel discussion. What I would like to do is first introduce the panel speakers for today's session. And then what we'll do is I would like to go through a format of questions and answers. And then, of course, if there's anybody who would like to add to any of the questions that we have before we go through any questions at the end of the session. So if I could have my panel introduce themselves first, and then we'll go into the questions about the program. So we can start with Miriam.
My name is Mariam Irshad, and I serve on the Employer Relations team at University of Toronto Scarborough's Arts and Science School.
Thank you. How about Kalpana, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kalpana Vigneswaran, and I manage early career diversity outreach for Canada at Sanofi. And I have my colleague Orlena, who's also joining us today.
Hi, everyone. My name's Orlena Butcher, Senior Recruitment for Sanofi Canada. My primary focus is full-time permanent opportunities.
Perfect. Dr. Crosby? Oh, you're on mute.
Apologize. My name is Jennifer Crosby. I am a clinical psychologist and a clinician scientist at the Hospital for Sick Children.
And Nora?
Hi everyone, my name is Nora Karen Manlian and I'm a co-op student at the University of Toronto Scarborough.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us today. So the first question for the panel today is, obviously we have been in a bit of a state of flux for the past year and a half. And I'd like to ask the panel, how has COVID affected recruitment, and what ongoing challenges and opportunities do you see going into 2022? Could we start with Kalpana at Sanofi, please? She seems to be frozen. Orlena, would you be able to?
Sure.
Everybody's got a backup.
Yes, always have a backup. So, you know, I think.
Oh, guys, I can hear you.
Okay,
Oh.
Go ahead, Kalpana.
Sorry, it seems like we're having a lot of
I
technical
know.
stuff. So I do manage early recruitment, and that involves recruiting students all over Canada for our UR team at Sanofi. So our recruiting processes have always been heavily reliant on in-person events, whether it's been interviewing, holding campus networking events, or even just our new employee orientation. So there's definitely been a big switch from working and being on site and managing the recruitment process, and then learning to adapt to virtualize all of our recruitment process. So, you know, the mission, the goal, the end goal has not changed. We're definitely still ensuring that we're attracting, identifying, selecting, and securing diverse candidates of highest quality for the organization overall. Overall, our interviews have been 100% on site, and then we had a few that were remote. But with COVID, we have switched our process to being 100% remote. So that was definitely a big change for us. Our onboarding, where we had our new hires, we have a large volume of new hires that start our co-op students. And so we have a 3-day new employee orientation, which has also been switched to remote. So that again was a big switch for us. For employees in the manufacturing setting, initial core onboarding is on-site. Specific trainings also would be on-site, returning to the needs of the business. Overall, in terms of anything else that we could do for the students, we make sure if it can be done definitely virtually, we do. We have a virtual meet and greet through welcome calls. Again, this is conducted by our hiring managers and to ensure there's seamless support for our co-op students. And our virtual onboarding, again, as I mentioned earlier, is allow students to network in that cohort. We also have e-learnings and workshops all being managed virtually so that we can give the best experience to our students and employees. And our laptops are now also being shipped out to students prior to their first day so that everybody can be prepared and everything is seamless and everyone has a great experience. I don't know, Orlena, if you want to talk about increased opportunities.
Absolutely. So just to touch a little bit on opportunities, going into 2022, I'm sure everyone's, heard on the news with the new public announcement. We've put a big investment in Canada for the new flu building. This is just one example just to show all the opportunities going into 2022 and further. We're looking at huge increases within the engineering space, automation, quality, documentation management, safety, compliance, commissioning. I mean, these are just a few areas, but truly, I can definitely see from going into 2022 and forward, there'll be a nice influx of great opportunities coming.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Sounds like great things are happening. Dr. Crosby, did you see this a similar challenges and opportunities from 2020 and now potentially going forward with the growth for 2022?
Well, yeah, we definitely saw some challenges and some potentials, I think, for some of the students who worked with us. So there was lots of challenges in recruitment, as you can imagine. I conduct my labs situated right in Sick Kids Hospital. So having families come in, we do a lot of clinical research that involves assessments on kids. So there was definitely a range of disruptions in how we were seeing families. We did over time, we were allowed to bring families in, but then of course there was hesitancy on the part of some families. So while some of the research continued, it definitely happened at a much lower capacity and there was lots of adaptation within that. It did open up opportunities for us to do more kind of data analyses and cleanup and a range of different data related activities within the lab. So I think that some of the students who came in and worked with us in that time may have actually gotten even perhaps a more diverse opportunity to be working across a range of different activities. We always try to offer diverse activities, but we really kind of dug in on a range of the kinds of tasks that we don't always have enough time to be doing, or we might not have had the co-op students involved with. So I think that while there was some downsides to it and some opportunities were kind of less available, there was other kinds of activities that they could be involved with that I think would probably of great interest to them and maybe gave them an opportunity to develop some other kinds of skill sets around kind of program or data merging or those kinds of elements, or even data analytics. Yeah.
Great. Now, Miriam, would you be able to give us a perspective from the post-secondary institution? How did it change for U of T Scarborough between 2020 and what you see going forward in 2022?
Thanks so much, Joanne. In fact, I would say our three key stakeholders lessen the impact of COVID on recruitment, them being our co-op employers, co-op students, and funding partners like BioTalent Canada. Co-op employers were really supportive. We worked together to navigate all the challenges that came due to the pandemic. We were able to rework any job description which needed on-site work term or tasks to be completed. Just like Dr. Crosby mentioned, for example, for research roles or lab roles, employers were very considerate to revise the job description, and students were able to give the excellent work that they are accustomed to in data analysis work. And later on, when the things have started to improve, now they can go back on on-site roles. In fact, since last year, we have onboarded a high number of new employers. Considering during our conversations, we have learned from the employers, they are looking for students who are adept at using new technology, who have innovative ideas to sort out or manage the challenges that employers have with their projects and processes. And co-op students come well prepared to manage all the expectations that an employer had during this challenging time. And finally, I must say, our funding partners have been so resourceful and have supported not only our co-op employers, but co-op students as well, whenever we needed some guidance, how to navigate the funding guidelines, funding landscape, because it was quite new for every one of us. They were always there for us. So moving forward in 2022, yes, we do foresee more on-site positions being available, especially the lab positions. At the same time, we are hoping that funding support will continue and employers can train more up and coming talent in the future. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Miriam. Now, Nora, you have a unique perspective to all of this, of course. You have seen the process pre-pandemic and current pandemic. Maybe you could shed your personal experience for both the on-site, in-person work experience you had and the virtual experience.
Sure, thanks, Joanne. Yeah, so I was lucky enough to have 2 experiences in co-op. So my first work term was with Dr. Crosby at SickKids, and I was able to work in person during the pandemic. And currently I'm at St. Mike's Hospital and I'm working from home, so everything is remote and virtual, and I'm working as a research assistant there. And so I definitely have noticed some differences of working in person versus working online. Working in person was kind of more natural, as I've usually had jobs that were in person. I've never had to work from home before, so that just took a bit of adjusting, sitting in my room and like working at my desk all day rather than actually, getting up, going to work, and like the transportation, let's say. So that was a big difference, I'd say. However, I feel like moving forward, co-op students have had lots of opportunities on how to adjust to work from home. Because of our co-op program, we have lots of resources available to us, and we have lots of work term engagement coordinators to help us kind of, go through any struggles we're having while working from home. So there is like a big support team behind us, which I think really helps us just adjust to the workplace, whether it was in person or virtual.
That's great. Thanks, Nora. Sounds like a relative success considering the situation. So let's move on from the COVID aspect. And Kalpana, can you tell us a little bit about the work experience? So when the student comes to you, what are you as the employer preparing? How do you prepare that employee for the workforce?
Yeah, great question. So we do have a very robust co-op internship program. So we do bring in a lot of co-op students for each cohort. So there's definitely a lot of resources that are available to not just our co-ops, but also to all of our employees. Some of them are which, strategic workforce planning, identifying and driving strategies to develop skills and capabilities required for the future. So again, going digital. So with the pandemic currently, we're definitely seeing more of a shift going virtual. And so being more focused on digital is really helping us. And so lots of opportunities there with training. We also have the online and facilitator-led courses at our Sanofi University, which our co-op students, employees can take advantage of, which is really great because these are definitely some additional perks for our co-op interns. Mentorships and preceptorships, we definitely have a lot of opportunity here for our students to take advantage of, along with some job shadowing. Again, some of these would need to be approved by their manager ahead of time, but there's all these opportunities that are available. Also, our quarterly town hall meetings, fireside chats, allows everyone to connect with the larger audience to provide more high-level information as well as specific updates, information that the students can get. Some of it might be more department specific. Again, with any emergency protocols, with COVID, we had a lot of that. So just keeping everyone informed, and also career development sessions, workshops, to highlight any development opportunities and tools and resources. So we have these programs all across North America that the students can take a part of. So lots of opportunity there to be engaged, and lots of resources.
Great. And I understand that you also have a diversity and inclusion program with Sanofi. Can you share more about that program with us?
Yeah, Joanne, I can shed some light on that. So, Sanofi just as a company is committed, to maximizing the power of diversity in people, perspectives, abilities, and backgrounds, especially in Canada, North America, and of course, globally. We foster truly a culture where all employees feel engaged, empowered, valued, and included. Our Canada Diversity and Inclusion Council play a key role in advancing us towards our diversity objectives. For 2021, the focus has been on talent management, talent acquisition, and corporate social responsibility. Truly, we offer an opportunity for employees to learn about each other. They may or not be different from each other. All employees are welcome to all company-supported, executive-sponsored employee management groups that are anchored. They anchored them in the 4 C's. So they call it community, commerce, culture, and career. The other, part of this, when we look at everything, we partner with so many groups out there, and it's not just in Canada, but globally. I mean, for example, engineering's played a huge part this year, especially with the new flu building being put up. So we got, so involved with women in engineering and trying to attract that talent to come in, people with disabilities, veteran associations. I mean, there's so many different components to this, but it's exciting, and this is an area of passion of mine. So I'm looking forward to continuing growing this area. So it's exciting.
That's great. That's great. And since we're on the line, we do have a question from Samantha. She's asking if there are any lunch and learns at Sanofi for students to participate in.
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. So that is definitely a hot topic. We do have a student-led initiative, Lunch and Learn bi-weekly session, which has been a great success with Sanofi at our Pasteur location specifically. And it allows senior leaders to come join as guest speakers, and the students all come on site. Now they're coming on virtually, and so they get to participate. And it really talks about, it's a way to network and for a senior leader to kind of showcase and highlight their journey and how they came to be where they are today. So it's really great. We get a lot of participation, and it works out really great. And there's a lot to take back, and we have a lot of participation. So I know it is a hit. So it's been going on for a little over a year now.
Great. Flipping from onto the student side, Miriam, can you tell us a bit more? You've touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you tell us a little bit more about what at U of T Scarborough you're doing to help prepare those students for the employment?
Thanks so much, Joanne, for the excellent question. Our students come well prepared and well equipped with knowledge and skills imparted by our world-renowned professors. At the same time, our Arts and Science Co-op Student Services team is providing students some preparatory courses before they even embark on their first work term. So alongside taking their regular courses, academic courses, they are getting full-time training by the Student Services team. And it is divided into 3 stages. For example, it's before a student go on a work term, while job searching, and even while they are on work term. And I will echo Nora's words that it's a dedicated team that supports student success. We do have student development coordinators, work term engagement coordinators, and my colleague who serves as student success and program coordinator. So it's an entire team effort which supports our co-op students during the journey before they even go on a work term and while they are on work term. When they come back after their first work term, there are further courses and further training provided to the students to help them going for their advanced second and third work terms. At the same time, our students are given education about industry trends, what employers need in this ever-changing workforce. This was one of the main reasons that we were able to pivot quite well during pandemic and meet the needs of the employers. So moving forward, we are able to manage the seamless delivery of online courses as we have done in the past entire year. So we consider that not only during this time, but moving forward, we will be able to serve the employers to the best of our needs. Students, while they are on work term, do a reflective exercise of understanding how their skills are meeting the needs of the employers. Employers do give them feedback, and that helps them with regard to their work term project or an e-portfolio. Thank you.
That's wonderful, Miriam. And so now that we've heard from both the employer side and the post-secondary institution, we're going to come back to you, Nora, and ask you, having experienced both of these sort of features and preparations for work, what did you feel was the most beneficial or had the biggest impact to make your transition into the workforce?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would definitely say that the co-op preparatory courses that I had to take every semester since I started university really did assist me in, developing the proper skills that I needed and being able to be a good employee and serve the needs of my employer. So definitely taking those courses every year allowed me to, learn how to write a resume, a cover letter, how to interview, how to create my brand, and really be able to, show my experiences and how I could be an asset to my potential future employer. So I believe that those experiences really assisted me in, getting my foot out in the door and kind of getting the job. And so, for that, I was super, super grateful for that. And I think that's one of the best things that co-op really helps you with, because it kind of gives you that real world experience that you can't always get in some of the courses that you take. So I think that that was very important. And in terms of actually working, definitely all the training that we get in the beginning is super helpful. I had to take at both of my work placements, there were online modules, so that allowed us to, do it virtual and still be safe. However, still be able to learn about the workplace and like all of the guidelines that they have. And then also actually having meetings where we are trained on how to conduct, whether there was data entry or solving data issues, or how to conduct some of the measures and assessments. And those actually taught me the real job skills that I needed to succeed in that placement. And I think all of those are very beneficial in me being able to be a good employee.
That's wonderful. You're a great spokesperson for co-op. I love that. Dr. Crosby, you touched on it a little bit earlier today. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the ranges of work experience? I know you dove into the data analyst, but what can students, what can they expect as positions and experiences that they could have with you?
Absolutely. So I was more talking specifically about COVID, but we've had students who've worked across a range of different projects. We have a couple of different kinds of clinical research studies being done at the hospital. So some of those have to do with sort of initial kind of assessments around clinical populations. We also have some intervention-based research going on in clinical trials. And often students have an opportunity to be trained across a number of different studies, across a number of different types of administration, getting some experience on standardized metrics, working, in our case, working with kids, sort of getting a sense of what it feels like to get a participant through a protocol, particularly in our case. These are kids who come into my clinic who might have behavioral problems or attention problems, and really just having to interact with kids. Like, how do you get kids to kind of work their way through a protocol, and what kinds of tricks and tips can you use, and standardization. So lots of opportunities for sort of really kind of hands-on administration, but then also really hopefully seeing a full range of what we do. It's doing that, but it's also scoring and validation and data entry, and then all of the elements that go into managing data and people and files in a sort of a hospital, an academic hospital setting. We also do some studies outside of the hospitals. We do some community-based studies. I have a large study happening at the Ontario Science Centre, and that is a totally different kind of experience. That is, very busy, quite chaotic, but you still need to be able to do rigorous consenting and getting families and kids through the protocols, lots of managing of other elements and sort of extraneous distractors. And again, a real clear adherence to how we collect the data, why we collected, validly recording information, how we track. So there's lots of different opportunities across the spectrum, and we really try to make sure that any students that come through the program get that that wide spectrum. We have students who will work kind of in one type of rotation, and then they may continue with us and they may work in another one, or say, you know, I got lots of opportunities to do this, now I want to make sure I can shift and have that opportunity. The other thing I would say that we try to make sure that all of our students get exposure to are things like our lab meetings. They have access to rounds at the hospital. The rounds have been a little bit less with COVID, but soon those will open up again. I often joke with the students that one of the main issues with coming to work with us, regardless of what capacity is that there's always something interesting happening in the hospital, and it's always kind of managing, you know, what needs to get done with what's available, but while encouraging them also to participate, particularly in things that are relevant to what they want to learn, what we are doing, or what their future goals are, because there's so many training and learning opportunities that they can partake in.
No, that's incredible. I never really considered the people skills that go into the, you know, taking on these co-ops. You know, we always talk about co-ops as, you know, you're giving the opportunity for on-the-job training and getting outside of the lab, but you're really diving into the people skills that are involved in those roles. That's great to hear. Kalpana, how about for yourself at Sanofi? I mean, I know you mentioned, you know, the flu center and the other areas that you're having, but can you give us a little bit of a breadth of the other experiences you might have?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So with Sanofi's university opportunities, it's definitely a fast-paced collaborative environment. And so students work side by side with our biopharmaceutical professionals. And this is all everywhere within North America. So specifically for Canada, we do have 3 different entities that I support, and I bring on co-op students. So for those who might not be familiar, we have Sanofi Genzyme, which is based out of our Mississauga location, Sanofi Pasteur, which is based out of our Toronto location, and then we also have another site that I recruit for for Laval. And so so many different function in areas. Specifically for our Toronto-based location, it's industrial operations. So a lot of the work and departments we have a vast amount of departments. So analytical, so research and development. We have commercial for our Mississauga location. So that could be business intelligence, market access, sales. We have corporate communications. So if we're looking at for our Toronto location, specifically for manufacturing technology, you'll have more filling and packaging. So again, roles more focused on industrial performance. We do have information technology and solutions, bulk manufacturing. So there's a lot of that. And then also, if you want to focus on some of the more science-focused roles, we have site quality operations, supply chain management, regulatory affairs, pharmacovigilance. So there's a lot, and some of the types of roles that we do recruit for are, you know, or skill sets we're looking for is, you know, technical writing skills, lab support. You know, we hire research students to work in our laboratory environments, quality technicians, and of course, right now, us going more digital and focusing on our digital platform, we are recruiting a lot more students who would have that data analysis, data science background. So a lot of focus on that.
Great. That's fantastic. Lots of opportunity. Definitely. There's no shortage, which is nice to hear. So let's flip this on its head. We've talked a lot about the benefits to the students and the benefit of having funding and the student opportunities and work integrated learning, but Dr. Crosby, maybe you could tell me or have some really nice stories or examples of how your lab has benefited from co-ops and the funding that comes with them.
Absolutely. I have to say that we've now been working with the co-op program and the funding for the last couple of years, and it's really had quite a significant impact for us. Having the opportunity to have co-op students working in the lab, having that dedicated amount of time to give to a placement with us. We previously, like a lot of places, use maybe volunteers, student volunteers, and they generally can give maybe a shift or 2 a week, but not really a dedicated period of time. And I think it results in a rich opportunity for them to work with us, to really get to know what's happening in the lab, to really get an opportunity to see all the elements of the lab, how we interact, all the different professionals. So I think that's, they can really kind of dig in and do some kind of fulsome work, and we get an opportunity to get to know them well. And and there's really an endpoint productivity to it. And the funding particularly has been really wonderful. It's allowed us to hire more people. It's allowed us to, I think, do more, some whole projects that previously we might not have been able to do. You know, in the academic research setting, you know, funding and money is always tight. So having an opportunity to bring on more students and having even that little bit of funding really gives us some flexibility and an opportunity to bring on more students and to undertake some new and interesting research questions.
Fantastic. Same for you, Kalpana, with Sanofi. You know, how above and beyond all these the long list of opportunities that are out there, how have you benefited from at Sanofi? Like maybe a story or a personal, you know, student that you had a really great experience with?
Yeah, I mean, we've had really good experience with the grant as well. You know, we do have a very robust co-op program at Sanofi, so we do bring in a lot of students every year. And you know, we've probably started taking advantage of the grant within the last year, and in terms of numbers of how many students we are hiring, that definitely has gone up. And I can tell you that the grant has allowed us to bring in more students, and it's been rewarding. And overall, you know, just having the extra funding helps. In terms of a great experience, we have lots of great students come in. I mean, the best part of this is that you know, we've been very fortunate enough to bring in those students, and then they have been able to return back as full-time employees just because they've been exceptional. You know, most of our co-op programs are a bit of a longer duration. We tend to have 12-month durations at our Toronto office, so our Toronto site. So that definitely does help us with the funding.
Perfect, that's great, thank you. And from the post-secondary institution side, Miriam, I mean, the co-op program that you have at U of T Scarborough, you have great courses, you have great preparation, and I loved hearing all about that. And you've developed some really wonderful relationships with, you know, just these two employers as examples, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how important the funding is to those relationships and to the co-op program.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I will echo Dr. Crosby and Kalpana's words completely, because that's what you notice, what Extendicare and CAMH mentioned as well, that funding has been quite critical in creating new roles for the co-op students. So it has benefit from employers and students' perspectives, both of our stakeholders quite largely in many of the roles which might not have been possible without these matching funds. And as an arts and science co-op team, which is committed to the success of any work placement that our student have with an employer, we have expanded our horizons, and we are looking to find funding opportunities for our employers and share with them, which are available year-round. Just like for SWIP funding, it's a great resource and have been a great resource for our employers to utilize the matching funds and hire more students.
That's great. And now flipping it over to you, Nora. I mean, obviously, Miriam and her team helped you to know about the funding that was available to you. Maybe you've talked with the other students, some fellow colleagues, and how do you foresee things would have played out for you seeking these co-op placements if there was not funding available?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. A lot of times in science, it's hard to find an actual position. So, you know, a lot of my friends have just been volunteering in labs, and, you know, that's a great experience. And, you know, they always wish like, oh, I wish I got paid for this something. And it's like, you know, here I am with a great job. I get to do all these wonderful things. I get to refine all of my skills. Like I get to work in a lab setting and I'm getting paid for it. So that was always like, oh, like, yay, like, you know, you just get a bit excited about that. So I think it's great just having the opportunity to be able to, you know, develop your professional skills and really figure out like what kind of job setting you like, which I think is the point of co-op, and really like exploring the workplace while still being able to, you know, have the monetary compensation, as well as, you know, just doing that professional development and really like understanding what kind of field you're interested in. So I think it was just such a wonderful opportunity, and I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity. Absolutely. I don't disagree. Kalpana, can you walk us through? I know that Miriam and Panna talked about the process for, on the post-secondary side, but can you walk us through the process at Sanofi for applying for a co-op position, and then following that, what it would look like should it, they be near the end of their term and they'd be looking then to further on with full-time employment? Maybe that'd be you, Orlena.
Yeah, I can definitely touch base on and go through the application process for the co-op recruitment. So we do partner with Canadian post-secondary institutions within Ontario, and that the students must be in an accredited co-op or internship program. And depending on the posting duration, if it's for 4, 8, or 12 months, they need to be eligible and available. So the requirement is that the applicants should only be applying after they confirm eligibility with their university's co-op or internship office. So for us, our postings are shared with the partnering schools, and available students must be enrolled in the co-op internship program to meet eligibility requirements. Then they are also required as part 2 of their application process to apply on the Sanofi Careers portal, because what you'll see is the generic co-op posting on our Sanofi Careers portal. However, the posting itself will be on your school, on the student's school career portal. And so, once the students have applied, we receive the bundled applications from the schools, and we review them, and we connect with students once they are selected for an interview. And right now, all of our interviews have shifted to remote virtual Zoom interviews. So we are managing our interview process that way. But overall, we are partnering with post-secondary institutions within Ontario, and also some of the schools outside of Ontario as well. So we are now partnering with some other institutions outside as well. And so, yeah, so any questions on that?
No, that's great. But I was going to follow up with that. So let's say we've had a student there in their final term, work term, and they've been successful. You've enjoyed them. They've enjoyed their time with you. So maybe over to Orlena with the full-time employment opportunities. How would that work, and how would that work experience translate on the resume to then be seen for the next opportunity?
Yeah, I think the biggest important area that really stood out to me, just from being here, doing constant interviewing, talking to hiring managers, getting the feedback, it's all about the relationships. They build really strong relationships with the hiring manager, with the team. I get a lot of feedback on how open the leadership team is at Sanofi, and how supportive they are in assisting them in gaining so much experience and just knowledge and so forth. But in saying that, they get, whether it's a performance review or they get, a recommendation, to me, those are the areas that really stand out, because those recommendations then get shared with other hiring managers internally. And then, a hiring manager will reach out to me and say, okay, we have this opportunity coming up, and it's going to be a contract, full-time contract for a year. I've heard of, this individual just completed a co-op position, or they're in their final stages. It'd be great to make a connection there. With the process, at times when their co-op has finished and there's not an opportunity available right away, I want to assure that co-ops are definitely, they're definitely open communication. I love their enthusiasm. They're constantly looking at all open positions that are posted. They'll apply to it. And I always make sure that I present those co-op candidates in front of the hiring manager, and they get so excited because they want to come back to Sanofi, or they want to have a career at Sanofi because they've had such a good experience. The biggest thing, when I've interviewed some co-ops for full-time permanent opportunities, I get constant feedback to say, Sanofi's like a family. And I feel they made me feel like such a part of the team, and the environment is so collaborative, and you know, I just want to continue being a part of that and have a growth of a career there. You know, the other interesting thing is, and I wanted to highlight this, is once someone is in a full-time opportunity, whether it's, you know, permanent or, you know, at times it could just be a very long-term contract, we do assignments as well. And I always found this unique that Sanofi does that. So, you know, if you've been in a role for, let's say, 2 years and, you know, there's no other opportunities that really stand out. However, you want to continue growth, an assignment will come up and it'll be in a completely different area, but you've got, you know, the basic skill set to support that. Hiring managers are very open for you to take a leave from your position. And on average, it goes up to a year for these assignments. You can actually take a leave, complete that assignment for a year and go back to your role, or you may find a different role after the year is done, and you may end up, you know, going into a completely different area. I have to tell you, after, you know, many years being in this industry, the biggest compliment here at Sanofi is just, you know, there's so much growth, constant change. I can create my own path. I've got the support, and to me that speaks volumes. But, you know, with all the exciting things happening here with the continued growth, you know, we've got so many opportunities opening up, obviously on the technical component, digital space. Engineering's been a really big one this year, and obviously manufacturing and professional. But, you know, I really encourage everyone to, you know, keep in touch, keep developing those relationships, and you never know where the future holds.
That's great. Thank you. And we do have some questions speaking to that exact point, Orlena. From Samantha, she was saying, speaking of growth, what are some ways interns can give back or volunteer while being with the company? And also, subsequent to that, what would the recruitment process look like at Sanofi? Would it be multiple rounds of students, or do they expect it to be a long process?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I'll answer the second part first. You know, on average, and I'm going to say sometimes situations are a little different because it depends on, you know, if you're still continuing your co-op with Sanofi, maybe you finished your co-op and you haven't been back for, I don't know, up to a year. The process may be a little bit different, but typically it's one interview with the hiring manager. Second, there will be a small panel interview, and then a final decision is made. So it is a very straightforward process. I'm always keeping constant update between the hiring manager and the candidate, ensuring that proper feedback is given, you know, proper guidance is given. I'm always here to support them if they have any questions. A lot of times, I will be honest, co-ops reach out and say, you know, can I have a quick call with you just to kind of prepare for, you know, what the expectations will be. So I'll guide them, you know, sit down with them, give them a little bit of coaching, and it really does go a long way, and it puts them at ease. They don't get as nervous, so that's always a good thing. And just as far as the first question, and my apologies, you're talking about like volunteering?
She was asking about ways of growth and the way they can give back. So volunteering while being with the company, or other ways to give back.
Yeah, so I mean, other ways to give back. I mean, one way that I always preach to everyone is just continuously keeping up to date in the marketplace, you know, supporting one another, being, you know, constant open communication, collaborative with each other. And again, I can't stress enough, it's like a family. So to me, that's always giving away back, because you learn about each other's culture and what we do. And there's different celebrations that happen with different cultures internally as well. And then as far as volunteering, oh my gosh, there's so many different types of groups out there. Kalpana, I don't know, because I know some of them, but again, because I'm fairly new to this, I don't know, you know, all of the volunteering that's out there, but I know there's quite a bit of individual groups that supports that.
Yeah, just, I mean, a lot of our volunteering efforts would be within any types of mentorship, preceptorships. You can take part in that. And we also have a lot of student-led initiatives, as we mentioned earlier. Our bi-weekly lunch and learn sessions is actually a student-led initiative. So that's great, because our students have been so eager. And just most recently, our most recent co-op cohort that started in May, they have actually started co-op e-bulletin. So we had one for the whole organization, and the co-ops were so eager and passionate that they ended up making one just for co-ops. So there's a lot of passion and interest within our co-ops, and there's so many more other ways they can volunteer and participate. So I think it's a great way to really get together with the other co-ops, because we do have a large volume of co-ops on site, as well as working remotely. So great opportunity to participate and get involved.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for the questions. Just as a reminder to everybody, you can put them in the Q&A and we'll be addressing those. There was a question from Ankita to myself about the courses with BioTalent Canada. So yes, they are certificate courses. Upon completion, you will receive a certificate of BioReady for either the essential skills, which is reading, writing, numeracy, and document use fundamentals, essential skills for the bioeconomy. You'll receive one certificate which will incorporate all 4 of those, including also an introduction to the bioeconomy. The technical skills fundamentals, they include scientific report writing, quality assurance, quality control, good manufacturing practice fundamentals, good lab practice fundamentals, and good clinical practice fundamentals. And so for those technical skills fundamentals, depending on which ones you choose, you'll receive a certificate for any and all of the 5 that you've chosen. Scientific report writing is a mandatory course in order for you to be able to take GMP, GLP, GCP, and QA and QC, but you will be receiving a certificate of completion. The courses follow along traditional online adult learning. So there is a pre-assessment, the lesson itself, which has knowledge checks throughout, and then a post-assessment with a minimum pass of 80%. So I hope that helps. We also have another question in the Q&A, which is, with the SWIP funding being restricted to students who are Canadian PRs and conferred refugee status by the Government of Canada and excluding international students, how do we support international students who pay significant tuition for the education and co-op experience? So from the funding side, yeah, it's a great question. We do, our funding is provided by the federal government, so we don't get to dictate to whom the funding does go because we are the delivery agent. However, during my presentation, I mentioned how we do the surveys as well. So we always take that feedback back to the government, and there may be an opportunity in the future where the funding will go towards international students. At the moment, it's not under the SWIP program, but there may be programs coming down the pipeline that do fund that. So we continue to strive towards that. So maybe Miriam, Dr. Crosby and Kalpana, maybe you could address if there's any restrictions on hiring co-op students who are international.
I can just say on my end, no, there isn't any restriction. That shouldn't be a determinant or reason who we would be recruiting for the role. Again, our hiring managers are not aware if a student's status is domestic or international. And we only ask for this paperwork after.
I can add to that from employers' perspective, though funding had been a main reason why they have increased co-op student hiring, but at the same on the same vein, if a student is bringing all the required skills that they have not hesitated to hire an international student. So many a times our international students have been hired during the pandemic without funding supported by the SWIP program.
I mean, I'll just add that, yeah, we don't have, for sick kids, international is not an issue. Connections with an appropriate program is enough. We don't have independent institutional limitations.
Perfect. That's great. I'll wait to see if there are any more questions in the Q&A, but I would like to ask the fun question. Sometimes employers feel that there's not enough time when it's co-op placement, or that the students are not enough experienced when their co-op opportunity comes about. So let's go a little roundtable about what would you tell an employer who is sitting on the fence about hiring a co-op student? Maybe we'll start with Dr. Crosby.
Yeah, I actually, I don't even know why someone would have any hesitancy. I mean, I guess sometimes people don't have to have trainees in their environment. I think our lab and the university and so many of the labs are sort of built on an idea of trainees and how we create a whole new generation of, you know, highly qualified persons. So I think it's such a vital and rich and kind of useful and productive opportunity to work with trainees across the spectrum, and the co-op students, for all the reasons we've articulated here, really highlight sort of enhanced advantages to that. So the duration, the intensity, the support that they have, they're not doing this sort of off the side of their desk. They're not doing this kind of on top of all their other demands. They really have dedicated and supported time. So I think it's really a win-win opportunity. And as much as we I think being in these environments, it facilitates the students' learning. We always benefit from having co-op students in our lab. We learn new things, they bring unique perspectives, they themselves have different kind of training opportunities, and even just their kind of worldviews and life experiences always enhance the overall relationship and what we gain from it. So I would very much identify for them that there's really few downsides and all upsides. Yeah,
that's great. I love the champions. Kalpana, for yourself, if someone was on the fence.
You know what? I'm going to definitely echo with Dr. Crosby there. We have our co-op programs are quite extensive in duration. So given that most of our roles are 12 months, there is a lot of time that goes into training and investing in those co-op students. And so sometimes, you know, training can be 3-4 months, and we definitely want to put that time to ensure that our co-op students get value added experience, and we definitely want to ensure that they have that training. So I haven't had managers say, well, we're looking for someone with a lot more experience, unless they're looking for a different, unless they're not looking for an undergrad student and they're looking for like a postdoc or a master's student, and there's more specific requirements just because the role is a little bit different in nature. But most of the time, pretty much all the time, our undergrad co-op positions are not looking for that experience, and we're definitely looking to train those students.
Great. And Miriam, how do you handle that employer potential?
Sure, I can add to that, and in fact, I can build a strong case for our junior students who are going to go for their first work term, and Nora is a great example right here. Nora competed for the position that Dr. Crosby had posted, and I know there were a number of candidates who were looking to secure this excellent and amazing position. And it was Nora's first work term. So we do have an example right here in front of us that co-op students, even if they are junior, they do have the talent, skills gained from their prior work, volunteer work experience, work study experience, or even completing their courses and practical experience that they gain from the courses. They are well equipped to serve the needs that employer have and manage independently the work. On another note, employers who may be on the fence, this is an excellent opportunity to test your future employees. If you hire a student for 4, 8, or 12 months, it is actually an interview for your future full-time employees.
Wow, I couldn't have said that better myself. Oh, sorry, Dr. Crosby, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just going to add in another point that I had sort of forgotten about that I was just reminded. The other thing that I will say that it's a real advantage is all the work that goes into the screening processes and the sort of what you as an organization bring to the process for us. I mean, we bring on people from all sectors. We have volunteers, we have full-time staff, we have summer students. And I will say that one of the real advantages of the co-op program has been that sort of additional kind of you guys having a process bringing in CVs, facilitating that process. It means that when we get applicants to our program, they're already at quite high caliber. So it's very helpful for us. You know, we can post a position and get quite literally hundreds of applicants. So working with an organization where we know that there's sort of a track record and some sort of processes and development and training really helps us know that the candidates we're getting are already at a higher level with some processes of training and vetting. So that's very helpful for us in reviewing CVs and applicants who are interested. And I was reminded of Nora, she did apply, and there were like, I don't know how many CVs we got from your program, but from others, but there was many, many, many. As I said, up to 100 is not an uncommon thing. So, you know, Nora clearly rose to the top, and she was an excellent candidate and interviewed beautifully and really had all the skills that we need. So that's another advantage of being involved with this particular co-op process. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Nora, you have a bit of a unique experience in this one. I'm not too sure how you would like to address the question, but maybe it's for some of your friends or colleagues who are, you know, going out there and looking for employment for co-ops terms. What kind of advice do you give to them?
Yeah, so I actually at school, I'm part of a mentorship program. And so I work with a first year student, and she was unsure, you know, she wasn't in the co-op program yet, but she was debating if she should be a part of it. So she was kind of like just asking my opinion and like all the experiences that I went through. And so like we chatted about it. I told her about all the co-op resources if she wanted more of like, you know, the professional, like not just the personal experience. But yeah, and I actually convinced her to join co-op. So I think that was pretty good. I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to really test out your skills, kind of see what the workplace would be like, also kind of figure out what you would like to do. I know back in first year, I really had no idea what kind of career I wanted to go for. And so I was kind of just, you know, I was like, let's just take co-op, at least I'll have the opportunity to see what work would be like in different fields and everything. And I think it definitely helps with that. You know, you develop these skills, you can really see what it's like to be in a certain kind of workplace or a certain job as well. And so I think just, you know, co-op is a great experience for both like the student side, and then I think it's pretty good for the employers as well. You know, they get to see what the future generation kind of holds and see, you know, where our talents lie or where we may, you know, need more work. And that kind of also helps in our education to, you know, help guide the students to, you know, develop those skills from an earlier stage. So I think it's a great experience.
Great. Thank you for that. We do have another question from the audience and asking, if a company pays a full amount for a co-op student, how would the reimbursement process look like? So the process from BioTalent Canada's side is, once the application has been received by our team, there's about a 5 to 15 day processing. So for eligibility and approval, once the application is approved, it'll take approximately 6 to 8 weeks for the contract to come through. So coming back to you as the employer. And upon that contract, that's when your payroll department would be sending in claims to our department. And then the reimbursement process begins at that point in time. And the reimbursement claims are sent in monthly. So you'll be reimbursed at that point in time for every month following the beginning of the term. So I hope that answers that question. Please feel free to ask any other questions in the Q&A. I don't have any others right now. So maybe if we have any closing remarks, I mean, we're ending on a pretty good note about our how do we convince another employer who might be on the fence. It's a very positive note, but if there were any closing remarks from any of the panelists, I would open up the floor.
I can say a few words about the benefit of hiring a co-op student and availing the SWIFT funding, considering at the moment it's available up to $7,500. This is a great time for an employer to hire for an upcoming fall term and get the benefit of having an excellent worker, whether it's a remote position or on-site.
I was just gonna, sorry, do you want to go, Jen?
Yes, please do. I think we lost Miriam. Go ahead,
Oh,
Kalpana.
I was just going to say this has really been very fun and enjoyable, and I'm glad we were all able to
At
connect.
least they will get the same benefit from hiring a co-op student.
Thank you, Miriam. Kalpana?
So no, I was just saying that this has been a great opportunity. It's been wonderful connecting with everyone, and just wanted to highlight that we are still actively recruiting for our fall co-op recruitment. So if anyone is interested or still looking for a co-op position, definitely feel free to reach out to me. And if there's a place I can share my email address, I'll definitely do that.
Fantastic. Dr. Crosby? Nope. That's perfect. Nora or Elena, any final words?
No, I honestly, I just was such a pleasure to meet everyone and to hear everyone's, overviews. And Nora, you are such a great example of success, and I love your enthusiasm. I can feel it through the screen. So anyway, I'm looking forward to future opportunities to continue having discussions like this. It's great.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. It's been wonderful to have a panel as enthusiastic and championing these programs. So I will now pass this over to Brian and say thank you for your time organizing this event. I'm sure it's been a challenge with so many schedules, but clearly you have a bunch of champions in the room.
Actually, I'll jump in for Brian.
Oh, excellent.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andy Donovan. I'm the Director of Member Engagement and Business Development for LSO, and I get to wrap this up with a tidy little bow of thank yous. First and foremost to our sponsors for today's event, the University of Toronto Scarborough Arts and Sciences Co-op program, Miriam, Panna, and Nora, thank you so much for the wisdom that you've shared today. To BioTalent and our incredible host, Joanne, for steering us all in the right direction. To Dr. Crosby from the Hospital of Sick Children, thank you so much for your experiences. And of course to Arlena and Kalpana from Sanofi for all that you do for us. It's been an incredible event. And I think the participants all were able to take something away from it. At this time, we want to thank all of our sponsors, our platinum sponsors, Alexion, our gold sponsors. You see, Brian's always on top of things. He's always one slide ahead of me. And of course, our silver sponsors, which also include UTS Scarborough. Thank you all so much for attending today's event. And we wish you an incredible afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.